Wonderful. Please keep your microphones muted during the presentation. There will be time for questions at the end, or if you don't feel comfortable answering them, just pop them in the chat. That's totally fine. If we miss your question or if we run out of time, please email info@vfca.org.au. I'll pop that in the chat as well, just in case we miss it. But before I continue, I'd just like to acknowledge and pay respects to our First Nations peoples, past, present, and emerging. Traditional owners have cared for this country upon which we work and meet for over 60,000 years. Its lands, oceans, rivers, trees, and its wildlife. We endorse the Uluru Statement and acknowledge this land has never been ceded. For those of you that don't know about Vets for Climate Action, we represent vet nurses, practices, and industry partners across Australia who care deeply about protecting animals, people, and the environment from the impacts of climate change. We work every day to inspire and educate both within the veterinary profession and in the broader community. We promote sustainability and advocate for strong science-based climate action. At VFCA, we believe animals need a voice in climate conversation, and we're proud to be that voice. If our work does speak to you, we'd love to invite you to become a VFCA member, and we offered a tiered membership to suit every individual and organisation. And it's a simple way to stay connected, support our mission, and be part of a growing community creating real change for animals and the planet. Just a little bit about our presenter tonight. I am delighted to introduce Dr. Laura Binnie, a veterinary leader whose passion for sustainability is reshaping how we care for animals and the planet. Laura graduated from Edinburgh in 2010 with her second degree after zoology, with a focus on parasitology, and has served as a small animal veterinarian for more than a decade. Since 2020, Laura has led the Green Group and Sustainability Initiative at Paragon Veterinary Group, where she oversees the practice's journey to lower emissions, biodiversity enhancement, and circular economy principles. Laura also serves as a sustainability advisor for XL Vets and is a core member of Vet Sustain's Greener Veterinary Practice Working Group, contributing to resource development, webinars, and sector-wide change. Under Laura's leadership, Paragon has earned significant recognition, and it was among the first practice to receive the RCVS Environmental Sustainability Award Outstanding. The Investors in the Environment, Green Accreditation, and honours such as Greenest Large Practice, and the Webinar Vet's Greenest Vet Personality of 2024. Laura's track record, influence, and deep commitment to both veterinary excellence and environmental stewardship makes her uniquely qualified to lead tonight's masterclass. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Laura Binnie.
Well, thank you so much, Claire. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you. I want to talk to you tonight. I'm calling you from Cumbria in England. I'd love to know if you just want to pop in the chat where you guys are in the world, because it's really nice to feel connected. And when I told my friends and family I was doing this, they wondered if I was going to be there in person, and I thought how wonderful that would be. But given the subject matter, it's probably not a very good idea, given that it would have quite a hefty footprint just doing that. So I'm doing this from my little living room upstairs in our house in Cumbria. So anyway, I'm just going to share with you my screen so we can get started. We've had a little practice, haven't we, Claire? So I'm hoping it's going to go okay, but we'll see. We will see. So if somebody can give me, or Claire, if you can give me a little thumbs up, if you can see
it's just loading
screen.
at the moment for me. Yes, can see it.
Super, just super. Thank you. Okay. So lovely. So as Claire has already alluded to, this is your September, very nearly October, but September Masterclass, offering real-world insights, practical strategies, and inspiration from this particular veterinary professional. And I'm looking for meaningful climate action in our practice in Cumbria. So just move on. Can you see that one? Has it moved with you? Yeah, bro. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak. I am really, really excited to share with you the journey that we have been on and some of the ideas that we have found successful. And I hope you can take something new away from this, but also take some comfort in realizing that you are doing some of the same things that we are over here in the UK. And please feel free to get involved at the end. Ask me any questions you have, or we can start a discussion. And I will definitely do my best to give you my input at the end. I love this picture. This is taken in the Lake District in Cumbria, which is just down the road from where I live, and it is just gorgeous. But one thing that does strike me is there's not much biodiversity in this picture, even though it's nice and green. There isn't a lot of diversity. So, but it is a striking picture, so I do like to use it. This evening, I am delivering this masterclass with 3 metaphorical hats. One is my Paragon hat. This is the practice where I'm the lead sustainability vet. The other hat is my Excel Vet hat, where I am the sustainability coordinator of a large group of independent veterinary practices in the UK. And my third hat is my Vet Sustain hat, where I am a member of the Greener Veterinary Practice Working Group. I will be drawing on all the experiences that I have gained from working with all these 3 organisations. Because I'm a small animal vet, there will be a slight small animal bias on this evening, which is where my experience and expertise stems from. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this image before. I'm pretty sure you will have. I do realise that I am preaching to the converted, but we all do need a motivation to make changes. And I feel that this is probably enough of one for all of us. This is the Show Your Stripes by Ed Hawkins at the University of Reading. I really do love this graphic. It's beautiful, but it is incredibly stark in its message. So each stripe represents a global temperature change since 1850, at the start of the Industrial Revolution. It shows how the temperature has risen by the intensity of the red colours. You can find your own warming stripes from the area of the world that you live in. By searching Show Your Stripes, you can put Australia, Ireland, wherever you are in the world. I did hear the other day the sad news that they are going to need a deeper shade of red for 2025, which is a bit disappointing. So this is what's in store for the masterclass tonight. I'm going to talk to you about the origins of the veterinary practice that I work for, Paragon's sustainability journey. I want to talk to you about how we embed sustainability and circularity into the core of our veterinary practice. I want to talk, again, with a bit of a small animal hat on, how we green our operating theatres and our clinical spaces. We have a pretty poor track record of biodiversity in the UK. I think we're the 12th lowest biodiverse countries in the world. So we really do need to be doing more to enhance our local biodiversity. So I'm going to talk to you about that. And also, just to finish off, I'll talk about accreditation and how we achieve it, and also how we leverage it to engage staff, clients, and the wider profession. So first of all, we'll talk about the origins of Paragon's sustainability journey. It's always good to start with the why. And it is widely acknowledged that most vets, and I'm sure this includes Australian vets as well, that most vets say that sustainability is important to them. And we all know that we need to be more sustainable, and we know why we need to be more sustainable. At Paragon, we felt that moral imperative to do more to reduce our carbon impact on the planet. So in 2020, we began our sustainability plan. Our senior director at the time, David Black, had already co-founded Vet Sustain, a group much like Vets for Climate Action, like-minded vets who developed a community interest company that aims to inspire and enable veterinary professions on sustainability challenges to continually improve the health and well-being of animals, people, and the environment. Paragon appointed a lead, me, and we went on to form a green group. We have 16 members in our group out of a staff of 80. So it's a really good chunk of the business that's represented in our green group. We have eyes and ears out in all sectors of our business at Paragon. And quite early on, we recognised the need to perform a carbon audit. This was before Vet Sustain had produced their carbon calculator. So it was a little bit clunky and not veterinary specific, really, but it did allow us to see where we were at carbon emission wise, and effectively allowed us to draw a line in the sand so that any changes we made, we knew would be reflected in our carbon footprint. And like most practices starting out, we went for the low-hanging fruit, the easy ones, sorted out our waste streams. We ran a switch off campaign to reduce our energy use, and we switched to LED light bulbs, like a lot of practices will have already done. We recognise early on that how important communication is to ensure that our staff got on board with the changes that we're making. And I will go a bit more into this in my next slide. And once we'd felt like we'd achieved a good number of wins and had some tangible outputs, we then put ourselves forward for accreditation. And we'll talk more about that later. This is our wonderful green group. 16 strong of us, made out of very, very passionate and wonderful individuals, all with our own interests and skills in sustainability. We have someone from each sector who can feed back to their colleagues what is being discussed at our 2 monthly green group meetings. We also share the green group meeting minutes with the staff afterwards, asking for feedback and suggestions. This really does help keep the staff informed and engaged. Right, so now I'm going to talk to you about how we embed sustainability and circularity into the core of our veterinary practice. So good communication, as I've just alluded to, is so essential in the success of your practice's sustainability plan. Without effective communication with our stakeholders, staff and clients, we really do risk disengaging them and losing their support. We are asking our staff to make changes, but without their support, these changes are just not going to happen. Good engagement idea we came up with right at the beginning was to task ourselves to do something greener every day of the month of November. And we called it hashtag 30 days greener. We asked our staff to come up with loads of different ideas for this. And it worked really, really well. And it helped bond us and really did help embed sustainability further into our culture. We must lead by example. If we can't, how can we expect our staff and clients to behave more sustainably if we are not doing it ourselves? And senior management is essential. Senior management support, is essential. And without their backing, we aren't going to be able to make big changes. And sometimes we're going to need some investment. Obviously, we wouldn't have been able to switch to a sustainable and ethical bank without management board support. Just as an aside, if you are interested to find out how green your bank is, I believe you can do this from anywhere in the world. If you search bank.green and put in your bank detail, well, not your bank details, but put in the information about your bank, you will then be able to find out how good it is. And you get a little, as you can see in this picture here, a little sort of diagram that shows how green your bank is. So we're quite pleased we have a nice green bank. And at the start of our journey, we decided that we wanted to add the word sustainably in this nice leaf design to our practice values, so that this was to emphasize our commitment to becoming a more sustainable business and to remind us to practice our values as sustainably as we can. We were bold and we committed to becoming net zero by 2030 by scopes 1 and 2 at least. And that was with the SME Climate Hub. Now, obviously, this is a very ambitious target, one that we accept that we may not fully achieve without offsetting. But we recognise the need to be bold and to push ourselves. And it drives us to plan for the long game rather than just the day-to-day changes needed. To embed sustainability further into our culture, we add sustainability category into every meeting agenda so that it is discussed in all departments, not just seen as a nice to do, but a must do. So it isn't just me and the Green Group that are talking about it, it's everybody across the business. We have entry-level carbon literacy training for all staff. And all new starters, since we started our sustainability plan, receive a one-to-one sustainability induction with me, really just to impress on our staff how important sustainability is to us and our values. It's important to remember that everyone is making changes and adapting to policies pretty frequently. So remembering to recognise this and send thanks is absolutely essential. Celebrate the wins with the whole practice so everyone feels included and that they had a part to play, not just those on the green group. To engage your clients and followers, and I'm sure a lot of you are already doing this, but it does help to post often on your socials. Update your website as your plan progresses and use your local news to celebrate the wins. Fun ideas like hashtag 30 days greener lends themselves to lots of social content. And if anybody wants to go for that, please do, because it's really quite fun. So the more challenging wins. Once we had satisfied ourselves that we had achieved most of the easy wins, we turned our attention to the more challenging ones. Vet Sustain were a huge help. They produced a document called the Greener Veterinary Practice Checklist that allows practices just like ours to work out what to tackle next. You can see it, they've broken it down into 4 main parts there. So this is available on the Vet Sustain website if you want to have a look at that. And it just kind of helps you work out what to do next, really. We did know that we wanted to be less wasteful and how we can incorporate circularity more into our daily operations. But we weren't really sure how to go about this. This was quite early on and we were still a little bit naive about it all. But their guide really did help us work out a plan. And as you can see from our most recent carbon calculator here, just down in the bottom right, travel is our biggest area of impact. We are an ambulatory rural mixed practice, and it is inevitable that we are going to carry a hefty footprint when it comes to mileage. And it is sometimes something that we are constantly working on. We have installed in-fleet trackers, allowing the coordinators to improve our travel efficiencies and send the nearest vet to the next call. And we are looking to electrify some of our fleet. With a busy on-call service, the Cumbrian infrastructure and the cost of are all unfortunately preventing us from going fully electric just now. Another example of how senior management involvement is key. We switched to a renewable energy tariff and installed solar panels, neither of which we could do without their backing and investment. In going through the Investors in the Environment accreditation process, we turned our attention to rewriting our procurement policy. This is an amazing document on the Vet Sustain website, highlighting all the lower carbon options for procurement. And we do follow this document. And every year, along with the other Excel vet practices, we take part in the antibiotic amnesty campaign, where our clients are asked to return any unused antibiotics to us for safe disposal. We make them aware that this service is available all year round, but this amnesty really does give us the opportunity to remind them of this. And I'm going to talk a bit more about general anaesthesia, parasiticide use, and biodiversity in a little bit. So along with us on our journey is our small animal clients. They are concerned about their pets' paw prints. Vet Sustain and our British Veterinary Association has produced really helpful documents for our clients to refer to. We have produced a VetCast series, and on this we discuss carbon paw prints. We make this information available to our clients and so that they can make informed decisions. And we know it's I don't know, I think it's becoming more and more used across the world, but we use an app called Pets App, which allows us to communicate with our clients just with our phones rather than having to pick up the telephone. And it makes things a lot easier for them and for us. And so this is a virtual client communication platform. We use it to send out reminders following the dispensing of medications such as antibiotics. And your message to these clients might read, "We know it is sometimes tricky to give treatments at home despite your best efforts. Some might be missed, or you might be asked to stop a treatment following a culture result, leaving you with unused antibiotics at home. Please don't be tempted to keep these for future use. They won't work. You're putting your pet at risk, and this encourages antibiotic resistance, and it can also lead to environmental contamination. Please help us protect our environment, our pets, and the future of our planet. and return any unused medication to us for safe disposal. This sort of message sends out a really clear narrative that you are serious about tackling AMR and you want your clients to act appropriately too. We are big advocates for preventative healthcare, vaccination, nurse dental clinics, weight management clinics, senior clinics, etc. All help keep our clients' pets healthy, which helps to minimize trips to the vet and the need for healthcare and surgery, which of course lowers their carbon footprint. Vet Sustain have recently launched some brand new resources regarding parasiticide use. We are all too aware of the consequences of overuse of parasiticides on the environment, and these resources will come in really handy in decision-making for colleagues, but also clients too. They have produced one for cats and dogs. This is the cat one as an example. If you go to the Vet Sustain website and check it out, there will obviously be regional differences, but the general structure is there and it can be adapted to where you are. Okay, so embracing circularity. In veterinary practice, we need to be thinking about how we can reduce the waste that we produce. This equates to about 8 to 15% of our overall carbon footprint. Some waste is inevitable, of course, to keep our staff and patients safe and maintain biosecurity and clinical excellence. However, we need to be asking ourselves more often if we really need to make some of these purchases. Can we use fewer of them? Is there a reusable alternative? Has there been a life cycle analysis performed on these items? And can we justify the cost? Also, finally, is there an appropriate recycling stream for these items at the end of its useful life? It's useful to think circularity when purchasing items. If there isn't a reusable item alternative currently available, ask for them. The more of us that are asking, the more pressure we are applying to the system, and the more likely our manufacturers and wholesalers are going to come up with what we're asking for. So we have to be keeping that pressure on, keep asking those questions. At Paragon, we set up a composting facility at our centres. We add green garden waste, paper, fruit peels, tea bags, coffee grounds, and food waste to these composters, which is then turned into reusable compost for the garden and also some for the office plants. So this is an area, greening the operating theatre, this is an area that we can have a really, really big impact on our carbon footprint. So this slide shows a breakdown of the carbon emissions associated with a TPLO procedure. When it is presented to us like this, it is quite startling how much carbon impact an orthopaedic procedure like a TPLO has. But if we break it down into its constituent parts, we can better see the areas that we can influence and the others that we can't as much. Take consumables, for example. 1/5 of the TPLO carbon emissions comes from consumables. Can we switch to reusable alternatives? For example, reusable gowns, hats, Crocs instead of shoe covers, use reusable drapes, instrument tins instead of single-use plastic packaging. This will in turn reduce the waste disposal requirement of the surgery. Another area that we can hugely impact is volatile anesthesia, something that I will talk about in a bit more detail later on. It's really important, and I am guilty of this, is not to feel overwhelmed by the seemingly mammoth task of reducing the impact from surgery. By reducing even just a small piece of the pie by a few percent will make a big difference. Here's some other things you can do to reduce the carbon impact of surgery. Sterilium, and I love this example. This is a brilliant multifactorial example of how small changes can make a huge impact. Move away from the traditional Hibi scrub chlorhexidine scrub towards Sterilium rub. And that not only saves emissions and packaging from running hot water, sterilization of hand towels and nail brushes, but it reduces the length of time that your patient is under GA, further reducing the impact of your surgery. And it's better for the patient too. So this is, in my book, a win-win-win. Reduce your use of single-use plastics. How we did this, for example, we installed a water purifier at Paragon so that we no longer need to buy purified water in these big, sturdy plastic containers, which once we'd used once just had to go into the recycling. We invested in instrument tins. Okay, there's a bit of an upfront cost, but over time you're going to save on these. And luckily we found we could fit more of them in our autoclave than we could just the pack kit. So that was even more of a win. This reduces the amount of plastic that we're buying in and then subsequently throwing away. And we are very good. We're very well versed at not using antibiotics in surgery unless absolutely necessary. So considering approximately 20%, some practices even more, of your carbon footprint comes from volatile general anesthesia, small changes here can make a really big difference. I am pleased to report that we have never used nitrous at my practice, which has a very hefty carbon footprint. If you are using nitrous and you want to reduce your emissions, it is time to say no to nitrous. And there is loads of resources available for you to do that, to move away from nitrous. Sevoflurane has a lower carbon footprint than isoflurane. Sevo, I think, persists for slightly less time in the environment than iso. But in the UK, it is considerably more expensive, and I suspect that's the case where you are as well. However, it's definitely worth considering making that switch. We transitioned away from keeping our patients on the old school 2 litres, 2% about 2 years ago. That has made a massive difference to our footprint and saves us loads of money. We did this by reconsidering our pre-med protocols. We moved away from ACP and towards medetomidine instead. We installed Humphrey Aid low flow circuits, and it was a bit of a baptism of fire. And I'll be honest, none of us really enjoyed the change. We didn't like the lower heart rates or the unpredictability of our general anesthesia, but we powered on through and we have all come out of this unscathed because of it. With the added benefit of being able to maintain our patients now on a fresh gas flow of 0.5 litres per minute or even less for the smaller pets, we can keep our bitch space on 0.5% volatile gas and what looks like virtually no oxygen. But to do this safely, we have all our patients monitored on capnography just to reduce the risk of rebreathing. We have reevaluated our analgesia protocols too, meaning that our patients are more comfortable and require less volatile gas. We use local nerve blocks where appropriate as well. We always consider sedation where possible, but never compromise patient safety. Our newest piece of kit that is enabling us to ultimately wipe out our emissions from general anaesthetic is a piece of technology, and it is brand new, called SageTech, a volatile anaesthetic capture system that ensures no anaesthetic gas is released into the atmosphere, and in the fullness of time will be turned back into reusable anaesthetic liquid. This is circularity at its finest. And because we use low flow, we're expecting to fill the canisters over a longer period of time, making them more cost effective. This is some of the work that I'm doing for the Excel Vet membership at the moment. We are all trialing this new Sage technology, and with a view that if we found it easy to use and cost effective, and it's considerably carbon sparing, we are going to go on and recommend it to others. I am told that Sage Tech is only available in the UK currently, but they are looking to expand internationally. So please do keep your eyes and ears out for this becoming available where you are. This is just a really quick overview of how it works. So you can see at the top there, the animal is breathing out the anesthetic gas, and it is captured into this blue canister. The doc that is holding that canister is weighing it constantly and telling you how full each canister is. And then when it gets full, then you replace it and send the full one away via your wholesaler. It goes back to the depot where it is recovered, and then they refine that recovered anesthetic gas back into a reusable anesthetic liquid, and then it gets reused again. So it's a huge step forward for anesthesia and the decarbonising that system. So now I'm going to talk about enhancing our local biodiversity. Now, it is widely recognised that we are not only in a climate emergency, but also a biodiversity crisis, and the two are inextricably linked. It is our role as vets, the one profession that sits at the intersection of animal, human, and environmental health, encompassing the true meaning of One Health. No one is better situated to play a role here with leadership, action, advocacy, and empowerment. But how do we do this? We must educate ourselves so we can have meaningful and robust conversations with our clients, landowners, and other veterinary colleagues, leading to a more favourable outcome. At Paragon, we believe in educating the next generation. We educate with and visit our local schools, teaching the children about biodiversity. It's really important to instill in them how important it is to protect nature. We invite the children to enter, we did invite the children to enter a drawing competition, asking them to draw for us what biodiversity means to them. The winning drawings were then incorporated in our information board at the start of our woodland walk. And we hosted them on a field trip where we revealed the final boards. The kids were so enthusiastic and so keen to get involved. It was so lovely to see. It's really, really important to instill in the next generation the importance of looking after nature, and still a sense of pride and ownership to ensure that they grow up wanting to protect nature. Okay, so 2 years ago, we created our very own 3-hectare native broadleaf woodland at one of our sites. We realised we are lucky. We had a lot of spare land. We did this with our staff, our community, and we did it to improve our local biodiversity, the soil and air quality, and ultimately for carbon sequestration. It took a lot of planning, but we were lucky enough to be awarded a very generous grant that allowed us to create our woodland. We invited our staff to come along and plant trees with their families, label them, and hopefully instill in them a sense that they are being part of something bigger, a legacy that will be part of the landscape for generations to come. We have created a circular woodland walk through this woodland, and we've opened it up to the public so that we can share this lovely piece of nature with our neighbours. We have also created a staff wellbeing garden at both of our main sites, a pleasant outdoor space where our staff can enjoy their lunch, take breaks, and have informal meetings. We are aware of the benefits to our mental health for taking a break in nature, so we wanted to give our staff the option to do this. It was a real team effort to create them. We didn't buy much in to do it. We reused and repurposed a lot of material that we had left over from a building extension. And our staff donated lots of plants from their own gardens. And we had a working group where we built the gardens ourselves. We use our homemade compost to enrich the soil and water that is collected from our roofs. We've left parts of the gardens wild to encourage overgrown to encourage wildlife into the spaces too. And we do have a visiting hedgehog who we see occasionally. It has been such a success that we did win a national Royal Horticultural Society Britain in Bloom Award for our sustainable gardening. These gardens come in really handy as well for end-of-life euthanasias, if the owner wishes to say their final goodbyes in a pleasant outdoor private space. It's much nicer than the stark coldness of a consult room. We use these outdoor spaces as well to educate our local school children about nature and how to protect it. They've helped us build our orchards, plant pond habitat and bog garden. And earlier this year, they built us a beautiful bug hotel, which we display proudly. We have bat boxes, swift boxes, hedgehog hides, you name it, we've got it. We also have a pollinator-friendly policy in these gardens where all the plants brought in must provide food or shelter for the pollinators. And we also have the British Bee Veterinary Association bee-friendly status, which we are big advocates for, and we do encourage all UK practices to join this cause. And I'm sure there is an alternative where you are, so have a look for that. Okay, so my last section, I'm going to talk about accreditation, achieving accreditation, but also why it's important and how you can leverage it to get people on board as well. Paragon as Claire alluded to at the beginning, Paragon was the first practice to be awarded the Environmental Sustainability Award. The timing was just right for us. That our Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons had just designed a brand new Environmental Sustainability Award. We had been working on making ourselves more sustainable for a couple of years, so we had a few things under our belt already. So we pushed ourselves really, really hard to become the first practice to achieve this award. And this picture, sorry, this picture is the then president of the Royal College. She came to present us with our award, and it was a really nice day. And we planted a beautiful Victoria plum tree in our garden to mark the occasion. So anyone who's met me, and I realize there's not many people on this call who have met me, but if you have met me, you will know that I'm a big fan of accreditation, be it investors in the environment or the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons Practice Standards Environmental Sustainability Award, or B Corp. They all demonstrate a practice's commitment to sustainability and reducing their environmental impact. Achieving accreditation and awards improves your practice's green credentials and reputation. It sends out a really strong message to your staff and clients, both existing and future, and your community and the profession as a whole. It allows you to look at and improve your operational efficiency and sustainable quality improvements. It saves you money. It ensures you perform audits, you calculate and reduce your emissions, and then you implement best practice. It demonstrates your commitment to doing your bit to help mitigate against climate change, conserve resources, and promote the circular economy model. Being a sustainable business has been shown to increase staff morale, teamwork, and pride in the practice values, meaning better retention of staff and happier employees. Accreditation is an excellent way to show that there can be no greenwashing. There's nowhere to hide with accreditation, and it gives your efforts more credibility. Going through an accreditation process really forces you to think about your operational, all your operations, and how you can reduce your impact from them. This video was put together for us when we were very lucky to win the Green Veterinary Awards, Green Vet Practice of the Year in 2024. And the company, the Webinar Vet, put this video together with a pharmaceutical company called Seva. And Claire and I had a little practice before you all came on. Unfortunately, it doesn't play. Well, it does play, but there's no sound. So I think maybe at the end, Claire's going to pop the link into the chat. So if you want to have a little look at that, then you can do. It's quite a nice short video, just a nice sort of package of what we're doing at Paragon. So finally, I am the Sustainable Vet handle. I use this one on Instagram to document our journey. If anyone is interested in following me, please do. Just check out the QR code here. And I thank you for your time and for listening. I hope you have found it interesting and helpful, picked up some tips possibly, or just reassured yourselves that you are doing some of the amazing stuff that we are over here as well. So now I'd like to answer any questions that you have for me in the remaining time.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Laura. Janet Berry, one of our beautiful volunteers who's been with us for many, many years, has a question in the chat. And Janet has said, Laura, do you know whether climate change, veterinary practice sustainability, and the protection of the environment is now taught in all the vet schools in the UK? You did refer to the importance of education.
Absolutely. Brilliant question. Thank you. Yes, it is, but only because Vet Sustain has really, really pushed this and got it on the agenda. There are some vet schools that are teaching it more than others, and we are finding that new grads are coming out through the system more aware and expecting a lot more to be done at the new practices that they're landing at. So that is really encouraging. Obviously, they're the grassroots, they're the future of the profession. So if they're coming out knowledgeable and keen and expecting things to be done a certain way, then that is going to just really, really push this on the agenda and get practices up to speed a lot quicker. So it's great. Yes. Yes is the short answer.
Absolutely. It's very important
Is it
education.
is it taught is it taught in Australian universities?
Uh, Rebecca Brown might be
I
able to
reckon that one's
speak to
probably
that.
mine,
Yeah.
Claire.
Point it over to
Yes,
you,
yes,
Rebecca.
it is. Yes, and I should know because I run the
Oh,
program at Melbourne
brilliant.
University. That's cool. Um,
Amazing.
it's not universal, but it's improving,
Mhm.
would probably be my summary.
Yeah, we're the same. We're the same.
Yeah,
There's certain universities, students coming through, and they are amazing. They know so much, so knowledgeable, and others are not so much. So yeah, it's changing, but yeah, it's getting
yep.
there as
It's a
well.
work in progress, and we're trying.
It is absolutely
I think
right.
even from the events and things like that we attend, we always find that the students are the ones that are wanting to be proactive about it. And we always say to them that they're
Mm,
the ones that are going to
yeah,
have the power because, vets and vet nurses there's a dire need for them in the workforce. And if they go into a job
absolutely,
interview with that front of mind, that's definitely something that we like to encourage as well. So it's great to see.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, very
and
encouraging. Yeah, and
yes.
it's their future, so they have every right to expect this.
Exactly. Too right. And we have a question from Helen. Helen says, "Hello, could you please explain how you choose, can you please explain how you choose pet food from a sustainability and carbon footprint point of view in your recommendations for your clients?"
That's a really good question. It's a tricky one. Um, there are very sustainable alternatives, but they are not always as palatable, or possibly as nutritious. I know I am thinking of Yora, which is an insect-based pet food. We do stock the treats, the Yora treats, at Paragon, but we don't stock the food. Mainly because we have a contract with with a food company, and they, we've done our research, and they have got green credentials, probably maybe not as many as an insect-based company, but we're veterinary practice. We need to be advocating for, really, really good top nutrition so that our pets can stay healthy and not require as many visits to the vet. So it is a bit of a balance. I think a lot more could be done in these big pet food companies, and it's a work in progress and it is coming through, but it's not quite there yet. Does that answer your question?
If that answers that, Helen. But I think that's another thing that I had no idea about is the impact that pet food has on the climate as well. It's a
Oh,
huge
huge,
issue.
absolutely huge. So, yeah, I mean, we do prefer to recommend dry over wet because obviously that has a lower footprint. We don't really advocate for sort of raw, sort of just meat diets. If you can get a few more cereals in there, that is better for the environment. Packaging needs to be 100% recyclable, whether it is or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, and also the miles that it flies, if it's made locally, even better. So there are a lot of things to consider with pet foods. It's not as simple as is it the greenest? You have to be considering how it nourishes the animals as well.
Absolutely. Dr. Rebecca Brown has said, with carbon literacy training, did you devise your own or use one from Vet Sustain or another source?
Brilliant. We have I called it entry level, so it is fairly basic. It sort of talks through the learner about what the climate crisis is and why we need to do things about it and what we can do about it. So it does give you some practical tips. It probably takes the learner about an hour to go through, and that's the really entry level that we do at Paragon. If we have had a lot of our green group go on the carbon literacy training course, which we have done with Vet Sustain, and that is your 8 hour block, or 2 blocks of 4 or 4 blocks of 2, where you go through into a lot more depth about the climate crisis, the biodiversity crisis, and what veterinary practices can do about it. we don't make that mandatory for all our staff, but it is available to our staff if they want to do that, we would send them on that training. But yeah, there's the one we had was available to us through our HR system, that we have an online HR or what do you call it, provider, which then has also training courses like health and safety and things like that are on there as well.
Thank you. Helen's just made a comment as well that Helen says, I think clients are ignorant about the carbon footprint of the pet food and we all choose to ignore it. I think it comes down to, yeah, to the education as well. As I said before, that I had no idea about things like that. But I do think in regards to pet food that there's a lot more variety available now for these organizations that are doing the insect foods and a whole range of stuff. So there's lots more, but people, again, as you mentioned just before, Laura, that you don't think about transporting that as well as the plastic waste and the refrigeration and
Yeah.
everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot, yeah, there is a lot of consideration to.
yeah, absolutely. Rebecca has said, thank you. I'm aware of the Vet Sustain one, but it is in the middle of the night for us.
Oh, that's, yeah, I know. I wonder whether, I mean, we can maybe see, because this time of day, I mean, for me, it is nearly 11 o'clock. It's nearly 8 with some of you, isn't it? So I wonder whether we could look at, I can talk to Vet Sustain and see if they want to do an Australian version where we can push it. If we started at, say, I don't know, we started at 8 here and 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. there, then that might catch some of you for like a 2-hour block, and we could do that 4 times.
That'd be good.
Definitely
I've seen it advertised, but it's always at like 2 a.m. and that's just not
Yeah,
happening.
no, it's very off-putting, isn't it? I can imagine.
No, it's not. It's not your fault. It's the
Even
way
I
it
wouldn't
is.
do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. This way. Thank you. I will keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, let me have a chat to Vet Sustain. I'll get back to you if that's okay, Rebecca. We
Yeah.
can
Oh, yes.
we can
Yeah. No hurry at all. It was
if
just while I had
if there's
someone
an
here.
appetite, if there's an appetite for it, then we certainly like to engage with that one because it's really good training. I went on it quite late on actually in my journey, and I wish I'd done it straight away because it taught me so much that I kind of had to teach myself. So it's a really good one-stop shop. So yeah, if you can, I'll have a chat and we'll see what we can do, Rebecca.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That'd be great. I'm sure there would be, yeah, more than Rebecca interested in doing that too, if that is ever does become an option, Laura.
Yeah.
I do have a question I wrote down before. How did you prioritize which initiatives to start with? For example, your greening, the operating theatres, or the embedding circularity, or the biodiversity work. Which one, yeah, did you just start anywhere? I know progress is great, it doesn't matter where you
Yeah.
start, but yeah, was
Yeah.
there a reason that you started with whichever one you did?
Not really. It sort of just evolved. We took opportunities as they came along. Because we are probably one of the more advanced practices in the UK in terms of sustainability. We didn't really have anyone to kind of go to and say, "Oh, what are you going to do next? Can we copy you?" We kind of had to make it up as we went along. And actually, I quite like that freedom. I quite like that sort of autonomy where you can kind of go, "Right, guys, let's talk about our waste streams. Let's really, really, nail that and make sure that that was really, really user friendly." I think going through accreditation kind of focuses the mind, and it makes you. It's on paper it looks like it's a tick box exercise. I mean, there's a lot going into that before you can do the tick, but if you can sit down and you go, right, okay, we really need to look at our procurement because this is where a lot of our carbon is coming from. Doing a carbon calculation gives you a really good idea of your hotspots, the area that is really kicking out a lot of carbon. So those are the areas that you can tackle. If it's something you can tackle. I mean, we struggle with our mileage, it's huge. We don't have one answer for that, something that we're working on. But yeah, it's not it's not a perfect system, but yeah, there isn't a rhyme nor reason for it. We just kind of went for it.
Yeah.
Whatever
Anywhere's
took our fancy.
yeah, anywhere's better than not starting at all, I guess, to
Yeah,
that point.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
And I know that you
I don't
mentioned
think there's one perfect way.
no, of course. I know you mentioned your very motivated team, which is absolutely fantastic to see. But
Mm.
I think with our climate care program and stuff, we have climate champions, and I think some of the feedback that we get is it's hard to get the whole team on board. You know, we usually have
Oh,
two or three people that are very motivated to be more sustainable in practice and do the hard work. Um, but do you have any tips for speaking to people? I know return on investment and things like that are a great way to get people's attention, but I know, as you said
oh,
before,
brilliant.
it's a long-term goal. It's not something you're going to see immediately. So do you have any tips to be able to get a motivated team around you?
Yes. I'm trying to remember the term that I've heard for people. Oh, the persuadables. So, we have done an exercise where we looked at our carbon savings and we've turned that into cost savings. So, for example, electricity. If we hadn't saved as much electricity as we have, how much would we be spending now on this at the same rate? Because obviously, electricity costs go up and down. And we produced this spreadsheet. A colleague of mine helped me because I'm not good with spreadsheets. She and we sat down and we did that, and then we've used that it's a sort of leverage for the persuadables. So the ones that are not quite on board, they don't really see the point, particularly if shrewd business owners that just want to they don't want to see they don't want to start thinking about sustainability. They just want to make money. Well, this is a really good key piece of work that's going to persuade these people. Actually, if you make these changes, you will save money, and it is in black and white. So that was a really good exercise for us to do. And yeah, we've used it a fair bit to sort of talk to other veterinary professionals about it, and even further afield.
Yeah, okay. Amazing. Thank you, Laura. Did anybody else have any other questions for Laura? Oh, we do. We have one from Helen again. Have you found a good supplier for small rubbish bins that are compact and easy to clean for sorting recyclables, compostables, and rubbish from rubbish that can fit in every room?
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Having the right bin in the right place is going to really improve your your staff's compliance with using the right waste stream. Um, we haven't really found a bin supplier as such. I think I do know a practice who's not too far from us who use stackable bins. So they've got three bins, all color coded. And I think to make it really difficult to use the general waste bin, that's at the bottom. That's a really awkward one. And then your recycling is at the top. And then maybe like a clinical or offensive waste or something in the middle. So that you've really got to stand there and think. And the more you think, the more, and you do it, then easier it becomes. We, I do notice sometimes, if I'm in the prep room, and the nurses are super busy and they're rushing around, and you can see them standing by the bins thinking, "Oh, I've got to get this right
Yeah.
because Laura's here." But it becomes habit, doesn't it? If you're using the right bins all the time, it does become a habit. But we're busy. And I'm sure I use the wrong bin occasionally. You can't sort of, be too harsh on people. We've just got to do a job. But we do sometimes perform waste audits, which is part of the accreditation process that we've been through, where we have to actually go through the bins, make sure that everything is in there that should be in there. Something that's recyclable isn't, recyclable and clean isn't ending up in the offensive waste, because that obviously needs to go and be incinerated. So we do occasionally perform waste audits. Not my favorite job, but it does happen.
No, it's a great way to learn hands-on like that. We have one more question. Have any of the Aussie participants found a good rubbish bin brand in Australia? If that's you, please feel free to comment on that. Um, if there's no other, oh, Bron, yeah. Sorry, Bron, did you have a question? No, might have frozen. No, no. All right. I'm just aware of the time. So if there aren't any other questions popping up at the moment, um, I'd just like to thank Laura so much for your presentation. It's been very insightful and educational. And yeah, just a huge congratulations and hats off to what you guys have achieved so far over there. It's inspiring and definitely motivating for us to keep doing what we're doing here. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it and happy to come back anytime.
Wonderful. Thank you. I might hold you to that. I just want to end by saying, at Vets for Climate Action, we know that every small step adds up to a big change, which is why we've created Zero October. As I mentioned, it is October tomorrow. So we've created Zero October to be a month-long celebration of sustainability where vet professionals, practices, and animal lovers across Australia commit to reducing their environmental foot and paw print. And this year, Zero October is all about measuring what matters through our carbon calculator and ca carbon cost saving module. Um, and you can find out the real impact of your practice or household and see how simple changes can add up to big savings. Very similar to exactly what Laura mentioned before. So you can see it in real time. So throughout October, we'll be sharing practical tips and resources and inspiration to help you guys cut waste, lower energy use, and make sustainable choices in your workplace and at your house. From reducing single-use plastics to smarter energy use, Zero October is about turning intentions into measurable action. So by taking part, you'll be joining a community that cares deeply about animals, people, and the planet, and showing that veterinary teams are leaders in climate solutions. So Zero October does matter for our animals, our people, and our planet. So we'd love you to join us in making this October, Zero October the most impactful one yet. So I'm just going to pop a link to our carbon cost saving pathway in the chat as well, if you'd like to have a flick through that. And I put, if you just scroll up, um, as well is the YouTube video that Dr. Laura Binnie spoke about before. I will also include that YouTube video and a link to it in the follow-up email that I'll send out that has the recording of this evening in it too. So don't stress if you can't see it then. You'll have every opportunity to watch it as well. But yeah, thank you so much, Laura. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. It's your attendance that makes these things possible. And Laura, for volunteering your time, we sincerely appreciate it as well.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Oh, we've got one new. Yeah, people are just thanking you, Laura. Great presentation and great
Oh,
discussion. So
thank you.
wonderful. All right,
Really
everyone,
enjoyed it.
you have a lovely day and everyone have a lovely evening. We'll see you for our next one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.